Hello and good day, everybody. Jeremiah back with another recording studio build update from the UnderGunned Productions compound. It's been a while since the last update, but I've still been going strong, keeping busy. Had a few setbacks and a few things I had to wait before I moved on, but you can see here I got the back wall up. And everybody who pulls in is like, where's the door? But I don't know if I want to put a door in. I can always cut one in, but that's going to be the back, which is going to be into the live room, right? We want to keep that sealed and as sound tight as possible. I got all my grout done, poured in around the edges, and then leveled off so the rain will roll off it as it comes down the walls. And that set me back there because it took me about 30 bags of grout. And I cleaned out my local home hardware store, went to the next town, cleaned them out, and then had to wait about a week and a half before more came in so I could finish up. But I got all that done. It's all dried and cured before it got too cold. And over here you can see the rock wool bomber flew over yesterday and dropped a bunch of rock wool on me here. So that's going to be utilized for extra soundproofing, extra insulation, and anything that I have left over I'm going to make some acoustic panels and a few clouds with. And that's going to give us a real nice tight sound. And then here you can kind of see I got a disaster zone going on here, but I've got the front porch lounge area all rocked out and ready to roll here. I recycled all my form board, the 1 3/4 plywood for the deck of that. And then also here, those beams I put into the concrete I used to run down as my main support beams. And then now you can see I got the front wall in progress right now. That's what I'm working on right now. And in here, things are again a big mess, but I've just been going strong, kind of putting with things as things come up. Also in here we had to grout those things in here, so you can see I got all those grouted all the way down. And then I've also started putting up the wrap acoustic insulation here. And as you can hear, whoo! It is completely dead in here now. The acoustics in here actually sound great, but we're gonna definitely deck out the live room, reframe the whole thing all the way around, and put the 2x4 walls about a little over 1.5 inches off of that wall, so we'll have a nice air pocket in between, which is going to really give me some good soundproofing. And then of course I'll have to deal with some flat surfaces, but we're going to acoustically treat those. And something I haven't mentioned is behind me that way about 100 yards there's the train track. So I do get trains coming through, and I want this to be soundproof as I possibly can get it, so we don't have to stop in the middle of a good take when the trains are going by. And I achieved that with my last ISO booth at my old place, so now this is just going to be on a much grander scale, but I think I can pull it off and get this live room completely soundproofed. And of course I want it when I'm in the mixing room, we're not hearing any bleed from the live room into the mixing room, so we're hearing what we're recording through the studio monitors only. And so yeah, let's go and we'll have a little tour here. Out here you can see I'm going to break the cardinal rule, and I am putting some windows in my mixing room, just 2 right beside the doorway there. And just because I want some natural light to come through. And speaking of windows, I just landed a whole bunch of windows from a ad on the internet there at a real good price, really nice windows. So I'm going to really deck out the lounge with a whole bunch of windows, and a little bit of that light will bleed through these windows into the mixing room. But yeah, so while we got this camera on, I'll take you for a tour here. You can see I got all my form boards here. I've been slowly taking them apart. I already peeled all the plywood off, and now I'm just breaking them down for extra 2x4s and utilize all the wood I have. And here's a quick look at some of the windows I picked up. I picked up a whole bunch, so I'm going to try to utilize as many as possible here. And they're really styling, and they have a tint to them actually, which is kind of nice. They're a bit foggy right now just from the rain and dew. But and then these bigger guys here, I'll use one of those for the window between the mixing room and the live room. And then I got a few little guys here that I'll put around the doors that go into the lounge, and then also the 2 holes I just showed you beside the door that's going to be going into the mixing room. But that was a good score. And then also here it came with this big nice window, and unfortunately during transportation we cracked it. You can see behind there's a crack in the glass, so that was an unfortunate loss, because that would have made a real nice centerpiece. But overall that would have been really hard to frame in anyways. So that's where I'm sitting right now. I'm going to get back to framing some more, and I'll keep you guys posted on my progress. Until next time, rock on. I'm just filling the walls here with Rockwell, and I had a quick thought that maybe I should make a little mention for anyone who's maybe watching these videos regarding the quonset hut itself, how I've attached this front wall to the quonset hut. So over here I got some couplers that are 5/16 that I attached to the bolts. Then I got some ready rod that's the same, and then some nuts and washers. And what I did up top, let me find a good one to zoom in on here, is at first I ran 1x1 because 2x4 was too big to fit in there, so I actually used a 2x2 behind that, and I drilled out that 2x2 for all the bolts sticking out to go in and slot in so they weren't causing any problems. And then on every other second one I put one of those extender couplers, and some I drilled right through, and then I screwed these 2x4s on top, and then I kind of did that all the way up. And then here you can see I ran the ready rod right down through this and tied into my main header there. And then that way I had something tight to the hut itself to mount to, and just give a bit more stability. And you can see just now I was packing the Rockwell in up top, making that as tight as possible. And when I build my center wall, I'll have to do something similar. I know exactly where these bolts are sticking through on the wall, so I'll just have to pop a hole through here, tie in wherever I need to tie in. And like I mentioned before with the ceiling there, I'll definitely set up some light fixtures and have all that ready rod tied in and ready to support anything like that. But yeah, just a quick note for anyone who might be watching this regarding just the quonset hut itself. It's definitely a cool way you can tie things into your building. You can't use these walls to add anything weight bearing, so I couldn't actually add another floor or even a loft just by tying into the wall that way. But anything that's holding itself up you can tie in just to add that extra support. But anyways, I'm going to get back to insulating here, and there's your quick tip of the day on Quonset Hut Building 101. Alright, another day down, and the front wall is rock wooled and ready to absorb some rock and roll frequencies. Got her all cut in as tight as possible, really tucked it in tight up top. So now I'm going to vapor barrier things, and then I'm also going to add a layer of this stuff here on the studs, which is it's floor underlay, but it's got a really high decibel rating for reducing noise. And what do they call this? Whisper Walk X31, and it's something very similar to what I used on my old vocal booth there. So what I'm going to do is cut strips, 2 strips for each stud, and before I put up my plywood on this wall on the interior, I'm going to run that, and then we'll see how the sound's sitting then. And then if I'm still getting a lot of noise come through the front wall, or escape the front wall for that matter too, I'm going to cover the whole wall with that stuff before I put up my pine tongue and groove, and then that'll really just help absorb that. And then of course I'll have the lounge room in front of this room for the most part, so most of these walls aren't even really the exterior wall, and that'll also help absorb more noise coming and going, vice versa. And then this wall was good practice because this wall is basically going to be exactly like the wall that splits the mixing room from the live room, other than the door will be positioned slightly different, and I'll have the window more centered. So it's gonna be right behind my console, so I'll get a good view into the live room from the mixing room. But yeah, it went pretty good. I'll be able to blast the next one up probably in a day now that I've gone through and worked out the best way that I want to do it. And some of these studs were offset for my windows, but when I build the next wall, they'll all be 24 on center, so that'll make things a little easier, a little less cutting. And anyways, thanks again for staying tuned and watching the progress here. And I'll be back next round with some framing and a little bit of the lounge that's going to be going up here in the next few days. So stay tuned and rock on, everyone. Cheers.